Here's a preview of this episode.
Stribling, how you doing, Eeland?
Good, how are you, man?
Awesome, buddy. I'm excited. This is gonna be fun. We're on our way.
And I remember getting one smile and being like, that's not bad. And I
I'm coming back.
I mean, we're all there to work on our own craft, our own jokes and stuff. Dave Chapelle, like those guys are pros. I'm just a guy who's just trying to make people laugh and sometimes hook up with a lady. You know, just.
I'd say like Andrew Schultz would
Andrew
definitely be on
Schultz?
that list. Like most people haven't heard of him.
That's true.
I think he's hilarious. He's definitely.
And now, this episode.
Hello, everybody. It's probably too loud right now, huh? All right, we're learning things. I'm on my way to pick up the incredible Eeland Stribling. Eeland Stribling. Say that 3 times fast. I'm really excited to talk to him. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I had these grand plans and making notes with questions, and you know what? We're just going to be 2 comedians that are just chatting for about an hour on the way to Fort Collins. We're going to Hodi's. It's a music venue that has an open mic on Mondays, run by a fine fellow named Nate, and that's about it. This will be sponsored, for now, by Not Good Yet. It's the book by Mark Masters that is flying off Amazon web pages and bookshelves, tattered cover, Mutiny Information Cafe, all over the place. Thank you everybody who supported the book. This is an effort for me to get better. So I am reaching out to comedians that I think have something to teach me in my quest to become less not good at stand-up comedy. Thanks so much. There it goes. Hey everybody! It's Mark Masters. I'm here with Eeland Stribling. How you doing, Eeland?
Good, how are you, man?
Awesome, buddy. I'm excited. This is gonna be fun. We're on our way to Fort Collins, Colorado, which Eeland has a lot of experience with. It looks like an hour and 34 minutes and 71 miles. So we got lots of time to talk about comedy and all kinds of fun stuff. So I don't know. I don't really have any agenda. So why don't you tell me what you've been up to today?
Just work.
Okay.
Yeah, just work. Yeah, you can make a left. Yeah, just work. I got a new job a couple months ago,
Okay.
and it's allowed me to do a lot more comedy,
Nice.
other than a bunch of small part-time jobs. So it's a full-time job working with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and all I do is work with really big animals: bears, mountain lions,
No kidding.
sheep, deer.
Is that scary?
Yeah. Friday we had a bear not break loose, but kind of push the cage, and I was up against the cage.
How did it get in the cage in the first place?
We trapped it.
Oh,
So it was getting into people's houses and backyards and stuff.
Where is this?
In Boulder. That's like where I work from, like southern Fort Collins to like kind of middle of Boulder.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
those of you watching outside of Colorado, be careful when you come to Colorado. You might run into some bears.
Yeah. Don't go
Yeah.
to Boulder.
Don't go to, be careful in Boulder. Holy moly! They
Yeah.
just had to euthanize a bear out.
I was on that. I
Oh,
was
really?
there. Yeah.
Oh,
the whole
jeez.
experience, and then they have a video at the end of that,
Yeah.
and I'm like on that video releasing the bear.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so we have
Huh.
the euthanized one, and then we have another video where we released the
How
bear.
much do these things weigh? What kind of bear is it?
Black bear.
Okay.
So it's not a grizzly, so it's not as aggressive. So most of the time you can scare them off or kind of punk them a little bit, but the more time they're around people,
What do
the
you,
more aggressive
so
they get.
for the viewers and listeners, what are you supposed to do if you encounter a bear?
If you encounter a bear, make yourself really big.
Really big. Okay.
Start yelling and screaming, whether you want to insult it or talk about stuff that hurts personally.
Okay.
You know, just maybe stuff your dad yelled at you when you were a child. But yeah, like haze it. I mean, if it's still not moving, like you can throw rocks, throw sticks at it. And
Okay.
just kind of make it be like, oh, this isn't fun. And then usually, most of the time, they go away.
Okay.
And then the problems are when they've been around people long enough that they're like,
Right.
I know you're not going to do anything.
Okay.
And then that stuff like that happens.
Huh.
So,
That's crazy.
yeah, the
So-
more you know.
Yeah. Did you see any bears today?
I did not. We looked for bighorn sheep, elk, and mountain goats. And we saw a bunch of bighorn sheep.
Okay.
Didn't see any mountain goats or elk. So
That's amazing. Do you
Yeah.
have comedy material about this stuff?
I've tried it. I tried last week at the open mic and it did not go well.
Huh. Okay. Okay.
But I think, I mean, the more, like with anything in life, the more I'm involved in it and the more I'm comfortable with it, the easier it is to joke about.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll try it tonight. Maybe I won't.
Okay.
If
All
the
right.
crowd's good.
All right. The crowd's usually pretty good up at Hodi's.
Yeah.
So we're going to Hodi's, which is in Fort Collins. It's a terrific open mic. A little bit of a drive, like I said, about 70 miles. And run by Nate.
Nate
right?
Brown.
Yeah, Nate Brown.
Yep, and that was the first place, well, the second place I originally did stand-up.
Okay, let's talk about that. How long you been doing stand-up?
January 19th of 2018.
Okay,
So
all right.
a little, like a year and a half.
Yep.
Yeah,
So you're
and,
about 6 months ahead of me.
Yeah, and really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just started
Good. Nice.
June 25th
Oh,
last year.
nice. So you just had your anniversary.
Yeah, I did.
Congratulations,
I
man.
got a good story about that too. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
my first open mic was a music open mic.
Okay.
In Fort Collins at a place called Lucky Joe's, I believe, and they did music, you know, people playing instruments, people singing, karaoke, and then I was like, I think I should do comedy, and so I asked the owner, I was like, can I do stand-up?
Were you
He was
there
like-
just to watch, or were you
Yeah, I
gonna
was there
do
just to
music?
watch
Okay,
with a
all right.
friend, you
Yeah.
know, and I was like, I think I should do stand-up, and she was encouraging me, and I was like, all right, and I asked the owner, I was like, can I do stand-up? And he was like, stand-up comedy? And I was like, yeah. He was like, sure, how many bits, how many songs, he didn't even know how to say it, and I was like, I don't know until I feel like getting off, and he was like, sure, so I go up there, I mean, I probably got one smile. I probably got, if people were even listening. I think there was like a group of girls, or distinctly, there was like a group of girls on the side, and I remember getting one smile and being like, that's not bad. And I
I'm
left,
coming
and
back.
I was like, and so then I went on Google and was like, are there any more open mics in Fort Collins and Colorado? And then, of course, there's a whole bunch. And then the next night, that was a Sunday night. Hodi's is on the Monday night, and the next night went to Hodi's and did the same exact jokes. Not everyone laughed, but everyone chuckled or were paying attention. And
Music
then I was
mics are
like,
weird, right?
yeah.
Audiences are so important. They got to be ready to laugh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They have to be there for comedy
Yeah.
in order to fully immerse in it.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's my open mic beginning. What about yours?
That's awesome. Irish Rover, June 25th, 2018. Just like I went the week before, I went on a Friday, so like 9-10 days before, on a Friday night at Three Kings down on Broadway in Denver.
Yep.
I went and watched a mic, and it's hard to remember now, but I was sick to my stomach just watching the comedians. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I might do this. And you know, and Three Kings is a hard mic.
Yeah.
Like almost everybody was just bombing, and I'm like, oh man, this is really hard. Like this is not easy. And then somebody would get a good laugh, and even that would like make me sick, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, that was so funny. Like that person's so talented. I'm never gonna be that good. So no matter what happened, I just felt sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
So then Monday, I went to Irish Rover. This was the week before, so that'd be the 18th of June last year. And sat way up front and watched like 3 hours of open mic comedy. And was like, all right, I'm gonna do this 1 week. I'm gonna come back, and I wrote out. Yeah, I wrote out like a script and a Google Doc and Total Nerd, printed it out, and went up like, you know, signed up like 5th and went up like 45th.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody's
How it
there
goes, yeah.
anymore, and it was not good. I was terrible.
Did you
like,
get a smile at least? Did you
yeah, I
get,
got
like,
some laughs, and I got a huge round of applause just by saying this is my first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like most of the time people are welcoming.
Denver's a very supportive scene.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with that. People are. I mean, people can be mean as well, but
Of course.
people are overall pretty nice and pretty supportive.
Yeah.
As long as you're a decent human being.
Yeah.
But I just like looking back now, I didn't realize how quick you had to get to the laugh. Like I would just tell like 3-4 sentences to get in, and I had no concept at the time of what people would find funny and relevant. Like I told an Angela Lansbury joke, which do you even know who Angela Lansbury is? No. Like at my age, almost everybody knows who Angela Lansbury is. She's a star of Murder, She Wrote. Have you ever heard of that show?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
TV show.
Yeah.
So, and she was like the voice of the tea kettle and the first Beauty and the Beast. And she's kind of like a famous older actress. Like, nobody in the bar, everybody under 30, like, nobody knew who she was.
Like, oh.
So it's like, what? So, like, 2 important lessons. Like, get to the joke quick and maybe play to the room a little bit.
Yeah.
But I did have, like, 2 good jokes in there that I still sometimes tell today, which I'm happy about. But overall, it was like, the other thing was I got into a fight with Oren at the end, because at some point he gave people 4 minutes, but then at some point it dropped to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But I missed that, and he cut me off at 3 minutes. I was like, oh man, you guys haven't heard my big closer.
Yeah.
Which I thought was going to be terrific. Which,
Yeah.
in retrospect,
Well,
dog shit, like just awful. So I started arguing with the host. It was just a disaster. It was not good.
That was your first time?
That was my first time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I've done 250 mics since. I love it. I'm getting better. I'm not great. That's the kind of the point. The point of these conversations are to like try and pull things out of other comedians that can help me get better.
Yeah, the learning curve is insane.
Yeah.
Like, even from only doing mics and maybe never doing a showcase or whatever, but the learning curve of like you said, like not knowing what people laugh at. Like, I still do jokes and there's laughs in there and I'm still like, why is that part funny? Like, that's not supposed to be the tag, the hook, the punchline. That's not supposed to be any of that, but you guys laugh at that.
Right.
And sometimes I'll acknowledge it and it makes for a bigger laugh, and sometimes I acknowledge it and people are like, yeah, you're not that, just keep going. Like, I don't know why you had to say that.
So the first time I ever saw you was at Thick Skin, which
Okay.
why don't you tell people what Thick Skin is?
Thick Skin is probably one of my favorite, if you can get on that stage, it's probably one of my favorite stages I get on at any point. Or so far that I've been on. Thick Skin is at Downtown Comedy Works in Denver. And it's hosted by Mike Stanley most of the time, and a friend, another comic. And it's called Thick Skin because if you're good, they'll compliment you. If you're bad, they will tear you apart. They will talk about the way you look, talk about your jokes, talk about whatever they can. And they're fun people, good guys. But I mean, that's part of the show is they try to make you quit comedy. And the audience most of the time is pretty rowdy.
Right.
And
they have a
lot of
tattoo
energy.
contest.
Yeah, there's a tattoo contest at the end where people go up with the worst tattoos that you can have. And there's been some pretty good ones. And or pretty bad ones. And so yeah, Thick Skin is it can be a very hostile mic.
So it's a bucket show, right?
Yep.
Or it's half bucket. It's
Yep.
like one half pros that are booked ahead of time, and one
4
half.
or 5 pros that are booked.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of hungry comedians like
Yeah.
us who are standing in the back, and we put our name in the bucket and throw our name in the bucket, and if they call us out, they'll shake the bucket, have someone in the audience pull it out,
Yeah.
and
You get
if
4
you get
minutes.
called, yep. And if you just don't suck.
Yeah.
That's always what
yeah,
they
and I
say
saw
before
you
go
and you
up.
crushed. The first time I saw you there, you did your Pixar joke. And
Oh,
it
thank
just
you.
Murdered. And I was like,
Thank you.
holy cow, who is this guy?
I think that might not even be. I think people enjoy that joke, but I think it's the energy of that room.
Yeah.
That like if they're at a certain level and you can not even like match that and be loud, but if your jokes are, I don't know, fun enough or whatever it is, I think you can really have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like there's a crowd psychology thing there too. If you can win them over,
yes.
like usually there's at least one terrible amateur.
Right.
So, and they know you're an amateur when you
Yeah.
come on stage. And so if in the first 30 seconds, if the comedian wins over the crowd, then they're into it.
Yeah,
Like,
if you're not likable, even if you're not, stereotypical whatever, like if you don't look a certain way or whatever, like as long as you're likable in that first introduction of people, I think then you can just, take them for a ride.
yeah.
And I think that's what I kind of love about my comedy is I come out, I don't think people exactly know what to expect because, I'm like pure chocolate,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Especially in Colorado.
Yeah, I'm
Colorado's
like-
a very white place.
yeah, and so like I'm black, and so I come out, but like I look goofy,
Uh-huh.
but then like sometimes like the jokes I tell, like sometimes they can be edgy, but also they're silly, and I don't know. So I think that's the fun part about audiences is they're judging you the first time you come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times do you think you've been up at Thick Skin? Do you know?
I've probably been up, maybe 4 or 5.
Okay. Have you done well every time, would you say?
Yeah, I've won 3 times.
Nice.
And,
So you can win money.
Yeah. So they have a competition at the end. The amateur, the bucket spot, you can win money. If you do well, if you absolutely murder, then Mike will just be like, all right, our best amateur of the night was so and so.
Right.
And then they'll do a competition also for the pros to say our best amateur of the night was Sam Talent, Janae Burris.
Right.
Pros.
Yeah.
So so I've won 3 times, which feels really good, and the other times I didn't win, of course, people murder and do well, and I always want to see people.
Do you remember
do well.
who's beat you?
Ben Duncan.
Okay, yeah, he's hilarious.
And Kallen Reece.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The mullet guy.
Yeah, those 2 guys.
He does
has
so
been
well
beat
at
me.
Thick Skin, especially, but he's funny.
Yeah, he's
got a great look.
great guy. Yeah, and he's really reserved, but I've seen him go on stage and lay people flat. So yeah,
he's so funny.
So yeah, maybe 45 times, but I probably go as if I'm open any Monday, I'm going. And I know that sometimes people say it's a waste of mic time. You can be working on jokes, but I think there's a validity in sometimes watching people do well and watching crowds and kind of just watching jokes and maybe how they're structured or how people are doing, rather than going to a mic that's empty with no people.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you're working on stuff and you're like, I actually don't know if this is funny because it's a room full of comedians.
Right. Yeah, that's real tricky. An open mic crowd can be very deceptive sometimes. Do you want to explain what that means to maybe there's some like brand new comedians watching this who might not?
About what?
About when you go to an open mic, if it's, let's say there's 10 comedians there and you're trying to tell if a joke is funny or not, like why wouldn't a funny joke get a reaction?
Because we're jaded and we're all assholes. No, I mean first of all, we're competitive. Like we all want to do well. We all want to, everyone, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people probably want Netflix specials or a lot of money or some notoriety or fame. So, we're all there to work on our own craft, our own jokes and stuff. And so maybe sometimes we're not in the mindset of like sitting and enjoying the show. We're in the mindset of analyzing jokes and going through our own jokes or seeing how we can relate stuff. And sometimes that can be difficult to... So if you go up on stage and you're talking to all comedians, if a joke is really good, then comedians are going to laugh, and then you'll be like, that's good, because they've heard everything from all the dick jokes to all the women jokes to all the married jokes, the kids jokes. They've heard the gamut. So if you can make a comedian laugh, then you're doing
that's a killer
something
joke.
in that joke is right. Yeah. So,
but there can be
the
jokes.
spectrum,
there can be jokes that could be excellent in front of a comedy crowd that won't get any reaction.
Absolutely. We've seen it when we're sitting in the green room and someone's crushing on stage, and everyone in the green room is just like. So that's why it's you have to find investing your time, I think, appropriately.
Yeah, there's a definite balance between getting stage time, which is super important, especially in the beginning, and going to see live professional comedy, which I think is so important. And in Denver, we're super lucky because Comedy Works is pretty open to letting you experience live professional comedy. Have you been to any great shows?
Al Jackson.
Yeah.
Andrew Schultz.
Oh, he's the best.
He's
the best. I was out of town when he was here. Let's talk about Andrew.
I
saw him.
Let
me tell you my Andrew Schultz story.
All right.
So last year I go to New York City to do like comedy stuff, like not to like perform, but to like watch comedy. And so I go to the Cellar, which is like a famous comedy
it's
place.
Legendary.
Yeah, in New York City. And the very first guy up is some kid named Andrew Schultz. Never heard of him. I just seen him outside on the sidewalk, like just hanging out. I was like, oh, who's this schlub, or this really tall, skinny dude?
Yeah.
And he just, like, within 20 seconds, I'm practically peeing my pants.
Destroys.
And he kept that up for like 15 minutes from a cold room. It was unbelievable. And the next night I went to Cellar again. He was on the lineup again, and hilarious. I'm like, wow, this guy is really something. So I started looking into it. Turned out he's on Sneaky Pete on Amazon, which I'd watched before, and he's terrific. So how did he do at Comedy Works?
He murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely murdered. And the one thing I love about him is I can't tell what's planned material, that stuff he's working on, versus stuff that pops into his head and he's riffing about, which I think is an unbelievable skill.
Yeah.
Because you're like, is this written, or is this him riffing and like finding gold all the way up the mountain? So it was like, I just sat back and I was like, it was kind of depressing, honestly.
To see how good he is.
Yeah, I mean, I love watching comics, and I love watching comics murder, but it's like where do I need to go to get to like a fraction of this?
Yeah. I mean, he works so hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like follow him online. One of this whatever you want to call this thing we're doing right now is kind of inspired by a video podcast, video blog, whatever you call it, that he has called Inside Jokes. Have you watched that on YouTube?
I haven't.
It's so funny. It's him and a couple other comedians, and they basically come in with a joke that isn't working because it offends the crowd too much, and then they like workshop the joke, and they're usually in like a diner or a restaurant in New York City or somewhere. It's great. So check that out, Andrew Schultz. And he, like, I follow him on Twitter and on YouTube, and he is always like, he released an album recently on YouTube in like 10-minute chunks. Like, I think he released one 10-minute chunk a week for like 6 or 8 weeks, and just for free, you know, just put it out there.
Yeah, he seems like the type of person that just loves comedy. Like there's people in this, I say we're like in the industry. There's people in this business that, you know, maybe they want.
You're a pro. You're getting paid at Comedy Works every once in a while.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'll never put professional comedian as my.
You're getting money, I should say.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think I'm ever gonna be at that level. I think professional comedian is like Hannibal, Buress, Chad Daniels, Bill Burr. You know, I always say Patrice because I think he's the greatest comic ever. But Dave Chapelle, like those guys are pros. I'm just a guy who's just trying to make people laugh and sometimes hook up with a lady. You know, just not trying to be famous, just a little bit.
Just have some fun out there.
Yeah, just live my truth, as they say.
That's awesome. So, do you remember who opened for Andrew?
I do.
Did he bring his own people, or were they?
No, I think it was
regulars?
someone from Comedy Works. It might have been Nathan Lund.
Okay.
Or maybe he opened for Al Jackson. I don't know. I go to so many shows where I just kind of pop in.
Sure.
And watch, and you know, we see the pros all the time, so I always mix them up. But it was either Janae Burris or Nathan Lund.
Awesome.
So
staples of the Denver comedy scene.
Absolutely. Yeah, Nathan Lund, the Denver comedy champion, and Janae Burris. She actually just got accepted to.
I saw that.
For
so freaking exciting! I can't like high five Janae.
That's insane.
You're not gonna be watching this probably because now you're big time, but high five to you.
Yeah, her and Sam T.
Yeah, amazing.
Sweet.
Sam Talent, so funny, so cool.
And they're nice people.
Yeah.
You gotta love it when people are really good comics and they're nice people.
Yeah. Yeah, and Janae runs an awesome mic on
Black Buzzard
Tuesday nights at Oscar Blues, downtown Denver.
That's always a good one.
You can drop in a new talent night and then at Comedy Works, and then go hit that after. Okay, so Al Jackson, did he do an hour?
He did like 45 minutes.
Okay, cool. And Andrew Schultz, did he do an hour? Do you know?
Yeah, I think he did like, I went to the Late Show, so he did. I think he did like 115.
Held court for a while.
Yeah.
He is so funny. And the amazing thing is, it was sold out, or was it full? Do you know?
It was full.
Remember?
Yeah. I had to like, you know, beg Mike and beg, and I was like, please let me I'll just sit in the corner.
Did you get a seat?
Back. Yeah, I sat in the dark corner.
Nice. The crazy thing about Andrew Schultz is, like, when I started looking into him last fall, he basically like is like outside the system, but he sells out big theaters. Like, he'll rent out a theater in Chicago, like 1,000-seater, and he'll sell it out from his Twitter followers and YouTube followers.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people don't know, and I'll be honest, I've heard his name before, but I never.
But you'll remember it now.
I never checked him out because he was on Guy Code. That was the first place I saw him.
Okay, like that's an MTV show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they talked about.
I'm not familiar with it, but I know that he
like
was on MTV.
Guy taboos, or like peeing next to a guy in the restroom, and they would joke about it and stuff like that.
Okay.
And there was a bunch of comedians, and so I'd heard his name before, but I'd never seen any of his work or listened to him, and then I was like, yeah, and Elliott Woolsey was like, yeah, just if you want to become a pro at Comedy Works, then you need to show your face more, and also go check out shows.
Yeah.
To see what Wende Curtis, who owns Comedy Works in Denver, or Comedy Works, he said, go check out shows and see what she's looking for in a host, an opener, a feature, and what the headliner is. And since you're a comic, just call up and say, hey, like I'm a new talent comic. I'm so and so. Like Elliott told me to call up and just check out shows. So that's something I've been doing, and I've seen a bunch of other people who weren't,
didn't blow your mind.
Yeah, or who blew my mind, but I still didn't know who they were. I just kind of was like, oh, I have nothing to do on a Saturday night.
Right.
Let me go watch a show.
Yeah, I've had. I saw this guy, Jake Johannson. Have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
I have never heard of him. It was a Saturday night. He was at the South Club, and I just went to. I like to drop in and watch pro shows when I have some free time, and had no expectations, and he crushed. He blew me away at the South Club, and he was crushing with me. Like, I mean, I'll laugh at really good comedians, but he had me for like an hour. So this guy had the most David Letterman appearances of anybody ever. He was on David Letterman like, I don't know, 50 times or something ridiculous like that. And just like, he told clean material mostly, like just stood kind of like straight, like no crazy act outs, but just his writing was so funny and so relatable. I was really impressed, and I'd never heard of him. And he's, to your point, there are so many, that's depressing to me.
Yeah.
When I see a comedian I've never heard of that...
You're like, why aren't you...
Like, have a sick... And actually that guy, Jake Johannson, this is a fun little fact. He's friends with Jerry Seinfeld. When they were casting Seinfeld, they wanted him to be George Costanza. And he said no. Whoops.
Wow. Yeah, I was actually just watching Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Yeah?
Yeah, with Jerry Seinfeld and Larry
Nice.
David. Yeah. Who's your underdog comic? Do you have like 3?
I mean, I'd say like Andrew
comics?
Schultz would
Andrew
definitely be
Schultz?
on that list. Like, most people haven't heard of him.
That's true.
I think he's hilarious. He's offensive in a way.
Oh,
but
yeah,
like he gets away with it.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how he does it, but he gets away with it. Let's see. That's good. I guess Jake Johannson, who I just mentioned, another guy that I hadn't heard of and who's really good. I don't know if these count as underdogs. These are more like names you should check out if you haven't heard of them yet. I'll throw out this one, which probably more people have heard of, but he surprised me how good he was. Orny Adams. I just saw his show, and he's the guy who was in the comedian documentary that Jerry Seinfeld was in. And he kind of, I think he has like a little bit of a negative reputation in the industry.
I'll be honest, when I watched The Comedian, I was like, I don't like this guy.
Yeah, he doesn't come across, he's more like a foil to Jerry Seinfeld, like the villain. But I went and saw him, and it was a Thursday night show. Club was about 2/3 full, and he got a standing ovation at the end.
Really?
And he deserved it. Like, I almost never see a standing ovation. Like Aziz Ansari got a standing ovation. Now it wasn't everybody, but it was like 30 to 40% of the people there stood up and clapped. He was so funny. He did over an hour, and like half the material was crowd work, and so good. Like, just he's terrific. Like, he recorded that documentary 20 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We're gonna need to get a sponsor for this podcast, some cough drops or something.
Lozenge.
So
Big
Orny
Bucks
Adams
coming.
super surprised me. What's that?
I said Big Bucks coming, Lozenge.
Yeah. Bring it.
Cough drop
Ludens.
company.
Where are you, Ludens?
Well, I'll have to check. I'll kind of only check out comedians I have a distaste for if another comedian recommends them.
I would say see him live.
Yeah.
Like, the next time he's coming through town, I'm gonna tell everybody to go check him out. And I saw a couple other people at the club, open mic comics, like Corey David, yeah. Who said something similar. He was shocked how good he was.
You want to get in the right.
Thanks. Really surprised me. Who else have I? You have any underdogs that you love?
Yes. The one is Baron Vaughn. Have you heard of Baron Vaughn?
No.
He's like, I don't even know where he's from, but his joke writing to me and it's like goofy stuff, but you can also tell he's very angry about stuff. Like
Okay.
he has a anger about him, but it's also like, this guy's silly, so he gets away with it, I guess.
Okay.
But Baron Vaughn, Chad Daniels, I just don't think he gets the press or the love he deserves.
Okay.
I think the first comedy album or like first comedy thing I listened to on Pandora and Spotify was he has a joke called Environmental Sciences.
Okay.
On his albums, You're the Best, and I could cite it word for word. Like I've listened to his albums at least
Chad Daniels.
Chad Daniels.
Okay. I've never heard of him. Where's he from? Do you know?
Minnesota.
Okay. They're supposed to have a good scene.
Yeah. So he was on the there's a YouTube or Netflix, maybe it's on Amazon Prime, but it's called You Have to Kill or I Need You to Murder or something like that.
Okay.
And they go overseas and they're performing in like Asian countries, and the guy who takes them, it pretty much says like, you're brand new to this, but you have to I need you to kill. And so it just talks about him and then two other comics just traveling around Asia, trying material, people getting it and laughing and then talking about that experience. So Chad Daniels, and then you know Ryan Knowles in Fort Collins?
No.
There's a comic named Ryan Knowles. He's like an OG in the Fort Collins scene. And there was Chapelle. There's like a comedy festival that happens every year that Jay Rodriguez puts on. 60 comics, and 4 hours of stand-up, so everyone gets like a minute and a half.
Okay.
To a sold-out Aggie Theater show.
Okay.
And Ryan Knowles got an applause break in like 30 seconds.
Wow.
In 30 seconds of a joke, he got an applause break. He tells a joke about the vowels.
Okay.
Like A-E-I-O-U.
Yep.
And like you could be like, why would you laugh at the vowels? Like
Right.
I cry. That's like one of my
That's
favorite
like Gary
jokes.
Goldman
and
stuff.
it's like I cry laughing. He jokes about pugs.
Okay.
Like who bred pugs? And yeah, so like
And what's his story? Like, is he tour nationally, or is he an open mic comedian? Or
No, he's an open mic comedian. He'll do shows every once in a while, but very nonchalant, like relaxed person, quiet demeanor. Like you would look at him and never say like he's a stand-up comic.
Right.
But every time I've seen him, he's intelligent and like witty, but it's like sharp and quick, and like if I can't figure out a joke and I really wanted to make it work, I would reach out to him and be like, is there any, what do you see in this? Or like, tell me what you think. And sometimes he'll be like, oh, I think you can add this and add this and then throw it in there. Or he'll be like, I think you should, take out this part. Like, don't mention this and then bring it up later. So he's like someone I've like looked at and been like, if I could have a sliver of your joke writing, I think I would fare all right.
There's a guy, Tom Henry, who I just saw in Toronto 2 nights in a row. I just got back from Canada, and he's hilarious. I've never heard of him. He's a Canadian comedian. He's at Just for Laughs that's going on right now. He's just about to head there, and he's going to tape a special for Crave, which is just Canadian for HBO.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like Mitch Hedberg, like real short,
One line, kind of one line.
Yeah, like 2-3 liners.
Yeah.
They're like with heavy on the sarcasm.
Yeah.
Kind of droll or dark. He was hilarious. He's really good and so polished. Like both times I saw him, he interacted with the crowd. And the first night, I thought it was like accidental.
Yeah.
And like especially off the cuff.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Yeah.
And he did it the second night as well. Totally different like jokes and crowd work.
Yeah.
But it's definitely part of that magic as a stand-up comedian that he does. Like, it seems like it's annoying him that he has to interact with the crowd, and it's distracting from his comedy or whatever, which makes you like root for him even more. And he was so good. Oh man, he was great.
Yeah, isn't it cool to see comics to see them back to back and to see either how they do material differently, or like maybe they'll change something, or they won't do a joke but they'll still do it. I saw Tony Rock. Tony Rock is another one. Chris Rock's younger brother.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
He if I had to choose between seeing Tony Rock now or Chris Rock now, I'm choosing Tony Rock every time.
Is that because it will be a smaller venue, or because
no, I
you
mean,
like his comedy more?
I saw him 3 nights in a row.
Okay. Where?
At the Denver Improv.
Oh, cool.
I saw him 3 nights in a row, and every single night.
Can you get into there for free? How does that work?
So I've hosted at the Improv.
Okay.
And so
nice.
Amy Hunt is the owner of the Improv.
Okay.
And so she's not as lenient as Comedy Works, where you're like, hey, I'm a comic, can I hang out?
Yep.
So if you ever would ever able to get a chance to meet her, and then I always shoot her a message like, hey, can I come watch the show? And she'll be like, yeah, but just you. And I'll be like, all right, cool.
Okay.
So so yeah, it's all about who you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw him 3 nights. I saw Tony Rock 3 nights in a row.
Okay.
Every single night, he did like a few jokes that were the same, but every single night, he had like a different demeanor. But like every single night, just like between crowd work and whatever he was wanting to talk about, destroyed. And I was like, that. I don't know. There's some special that's like when you can go up on stage for an hour and not do the same material, do 1 or 2 of the same jokes, and keep people like crying, laughing.
Right.
Like that's
the thing with the Orny Adams. That sounds kind of similar to Orny Adams. I think it's repetition. It's obviously there's skill. There's skill involved, but he has done this.
That's true.
1,000 times.
When that's your only job you have to do.
And he told like 10 minutes of jokes about this guy's goofy shirt in the front row, and probably if you asked him, he'd probably admit that, you know what, I've had somebody with a goofy shirt in the front row like 25 times. Yeah. And sure that like whatever's goofy about it is slightly different.
Yeah. The crowd, to the crowd, that's a shared experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was really clever. I liked something he did. Like he had a whole bit about saving somebody's life.
Mm-hmm.
And so both nights that I saw him twice, and he asked the crowd like, hey, has anybody here saved a life? And the first night, the like first or second person he called on was like a firefighter.
Yeah.
He's like, that's cheating, and he had a whole joke about how like if your job is to save a life, like you can't really say. And then so the second night it was an ER doctor.
Yeah.
And he did the same bit, but the audience had no idea. And it seemed so organic and fresh, and like it was coming right off the top of it. I would have had no idea the first night that he had ever told those jokes before.
So do you think you've gotten to a point where you can riff with the crowd or crowd work, and it seems, or like you've had the situation multiple times yet, and then you do it in front of a new crowd?
In general,
you don't have to tell that here.
No, that's fine. No, that's what this
for
is
your
for.
Netflix special.
No, that's what this is for. So, in general, I don't think I'm really great at anything yet. I'm like still on this growth curve where I'm getting better in almost every area.
Same.
In the crowd work area, I can cite specific things that I am good at, and they're kind of surprising to me. Like I have a joke where it's like a rule of 3 thing. I list 2 things, and then I say New England Patriots fans or tolerable human beings.
Yeah.
It's totally pandering, but people love it in Colorado.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect when I wrote the joke was that there might be Patriots fans in a crowd.
Absolutely.
And I was in a competition in Aspen, and I said that, and like in between the New England Patriots fans, which is the setup, and or tolerable human beings, which is the punchline, a group of like 3 people in the back were like, yeah! And I was like on robot autopilot, just telling my joke, and it looked so dumb.
Yeah.
Like I didn't react to the crowd at all. But then the next time I told it in a like reasonably large room, I kind of expected that.
Yeah.
I got it, and I was able to riff on it, and I looked like a comedy super genius.
Yeah.
But it was totally, I wouldn't call it cheating, it was just experience.
Yeah.
I'd learned my lesson, and now whenever I tell that joke, I pause like half a beat to see if there's an opportunity to do some, off the cuff, on the cuff, whatever, on the fly, off the cuff, crowd work. So
I do that with my Dixar joke. Sometimes I'll do different movie titles or whatever.
Yeah.
But most of the time, especially if there's a drunk woman in the front, most of the time they'll throw in their own movie. Sometimes it's another Disney Pixar movie,
Yep.
like Toy Story,
Yep.
and then
I've seen you do that.
yeah. Or sometimes it'll be a random movie, and then I'll make fun of them for like not being. I did it one time, and I did it at the Improv also. Someone said, what movie did she say? Damn it, I can't remember. She said some movie that wasn't a Disney Pixar movie, and I don't know how I did it, but I made fun of her for not being a millennial, and I kind of like turned that on like being millennial is cool, and I was like, how old are you? Like being millennial is like what's cool right now, and you don't even know a Disney Pixar movie. And I record all my sets, and I like have it on my phone.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those moments where like I was just like trying to figure something out, and it worked. And now I kind of, it's like having something extra in your pocket.
Yeah.
It's like having a Swiss Army knife. I think that's a good metaphor for comedy. For
Sure.
doing crowd work.
Yeah.
Like having a Swiss Army knife.
Yep.
And like every new experience, you're either sharpening a tool, or you're like adding another tool to be able to like make it a full weapon.
Yeah, I find it hard to get experience. Like if there are like, I don't know, 10 different things you can be good at in comedy, like
Yeah.
stage presence, writing,
Yeah.
act outs, crowd work, etc. Crowd work seems to be one of those things that I get the least amount of practice with. It's hard, but like in open mics,
Yeah.
I almost never do crowd work,
Right.
because frankly the comedians don't care for it,
Yeah.
and generally won't play along.
Yeah. Because we're assholes.
Yeah, I guess so. But sometimes there are some open mics, like Harrison Garcia sometimes.
Yeah, he does that crowd work open mic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
At the Irish Rover with Oren B. So that's a good opportunity to practice. But I just feel like I don't get a lot of kind of showcase or you're hosting, which is terrific. That's
Yeah.
a great opportunity for crowd work. By the way, quick traffic note: we're parked on I-25 right now. Oh, we're going up to 3 miles per hour.
Yeah, I absolutely hate this drive. I have to drive this for work because I work in Loveland.
Yeah.
So I drive this for work every morning. And it didn't used to be like this, but people keep coming to Denver for some reason.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Could be all the great comedians. How about, do you read much? Are you a reader?
no, I mean I read stuff I enjoy, but like novel reading, or like I read Steve Martin's book,
Yeah, Born Standing Up.
Born Standing
Terrific.
Up, and I read a
So
bunch of
good.
other like stand-up books, and
Okay.
I'll
Anything
like
you
read
really liked?
articles. No, there was like a little flip book, like tips of being a stand-up comic, and then there was another book called How to Steal Like a Entertainer,
Okay.
and it's a book about not stealing jokes or ideas, but stealing like cross industry stuff. So like imagine taking a comedian and then them doing a music bit
Okay.
that they saw a rock star do or whatever, or
Okay.
then imagine an athlete doing something funny on an interview and seeing that coming from a comedian.
Okay.
So it's like it's a book about taking like ideas of performing, and how can you like be different but not steal jokes or not steal music and stuff like that. That was really interesting. I didn't really agree with a lot of the stuff,
Okay.
but it was cool to see just like the different examples they gave and all that stuff, because I think stealing jokes
It's terrible.
you should be put to the stake, put to the fire.
Have you ever had a joke stolen?
Yeah, there's probably gonna be a guy
Tell
here
me about
who
it.
Just
This is one of my favorite questions to ask more experienced comedians, because
Yeah.
it usually leads to good stories.
Yeah,
Let's not name names. I
Of course,
guess. Okay.
yeah. So this no, so I started doing stand up in Fort Collins,
Okay.
and I mean on probably even tonight hopefully not, but I'll probably be the only black comedian there.
Okay.
And so there's not a lot of diversity in Fort Collins in general, but
Okay.
also in the stand-up scene. And so I was doing a joke where I would say, hey, what's up everybody? I go to CSU. Of course people would cheer because we're in that town, you know? And I say I go to CSU, and I'd be like, yeah, I like living here, but like when I moved here, me and my best friend, when we moved here, like our house became the black neighborhood. And you know, it's it's one black person. The joke is the black person becomes a black neighborhood because that's how white it is.
Right.
And so I do that joke all the time at a bunch of different mics, showcases down in Denver, whatever. And then I go away for a little bit, and I come back to do a competition at Colorado Room. They have a competition every Tuesday. And a comic who was born after me in the comedy scene.
Okay.
Who is...
That's usually who's stealing jokes, the more...
Who is racially ambiguous.
Okay.
He's a mix-up, you know?
Okay.
Like, if you go to Jamba Juice, you know, just say, like, mix it up.
Okay.
I saw him say, you know, I'm half black. And, like, when I moved in with my girlfriend, like, my house became a black neighborhood.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, you motherfucker. You motherfucker.
Man.
And then, you know, it was
Did anybody else recognize that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's my favorite thing. I pay really close attention to people's material. So, like,
Absolutely.
at least once a month, I'll tell another comedian, like, hey, so-and-so just did your bit about whatever. Like,
and I absolutely believe in parallel thinking. You know, I believe in people with, I mean, there's 7.1 billion people on this earth. Like, and some people are going to have general or the same ideas or maybe the same path. But, like, that's, like, when that happens, that's, like, too... And just because you change up the setup and say you're half whatever, that doesn't make it... Like, you're still saying my punchline. And I'm pretty sure people probably said it before me. I've never heard it.
Right.
Maybe people said it before me.
Sure.
So it was a competition.
Or some version of it.
Yeah, and so it was a competition. So in my head, I'm thinking I'm about to, like, it's probably the only time in my life where I've been motivated by anger on stage.
Okay.
And so getting up on stage, I was like, I'm about to fucking murder this person. So then I go up and I do like the first part of my material, but that thing, it's still just spinning in my head like, this motherfucker took my joke. And so then I spend, and remember, it's a competition, so you want to do your best joke. I spend maybe, I don't know, 2 minutes making fun of this comedian. I never said he stole a joke. I never brought that up because, I mean, if you say that, other comedians are going to be like they don't maybe want to talk around you or like whatever. And so maybe it happens, whatever. But I spent 2 minutes making fun about the way he looks, who he's dating, everything that I could think about. Went back to my material and literally got like an applause break at the end and like cheered, and I won that night and came in first place. And then people were messaging me and were like, oh, you know what? I did, you know what? You were right. I did hear that, blah, blah, blah. Like, and he's still and then, so.
Is he still doing comedy? Do you know?
Yeah, he's still doing comedy.
Does he still do that joke? Do you know?
Not that I've heard.
Okay.
No one's passed that along. But he did. I did another show in Fort Collins, and he was there. And we're not friends. Like I don't like him as a person. As a comic, he's not bad.
Okay.
But just kind of like his attitude and stuff. Like I don't really like him as a person.
Sure.
And so we never kind of hang out and talk, but. I do a joke, like my Disney Pixar joke. I do that joke, and then he comes up to me after a show and goes, "Hey man, can I ask you a question about a joke?" And I'm like, "Sure, what's up?" And he's like, I'm doing a joke where I like kind of compare sex to movies.
Oh jeez.
Like, can I would you be okay with that? And I'm like, not. I mean, if it's good and it's not my joke, like compare your sex to Quentin Tarantino films. Like I don't care. Like, but
sure.
And he was like, well, it's going to be like animated movies, and I want to make sure it was weird. And I was like, everyone knows my jokes, so just don't steal my joke and, like, be original. And then I walked away. I was like, that's it. Like, that's... If you need material that bad, then, like, I don't know, go have new experiences or whatever. But don't... Tip for any stand-up comedian, ever. I mean, I don't know why this has to be said, but just don't steal jokes.
Yeah.
That's it. I would rather bomb at every mic than have this false sense of I'm good if I'm just stealing jokes.
Right.
You can call me an asshole, but just don't steal my joke.
Right.
And I'm not even famous.
Yeah.
I'm like at the beginner level.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but it definitely happens. You see, like, something will come out in the zeitgeist. Like, I don't know what's in the news right now. That's popular. I haven't been to any mics in 3 or 4 days.
They made Little Mermaid black.
Okay, yeah.
And so I've seen that. I mean, I've seen that a few mics where people just joke about it.
Anthony Crawford has a great bit about that.
Yeah.
With, like, like that he's been doing that for over a year.
Yeah.
It's about Home Alone.
And even, I mean, Coors cans, Coors Light.
Yeah.
The person who made Coors, his first name was Adolf.
Yeah.
And so when I was drinking the Coors one day and I drank it, and I was like, that would be really funny to talk about. Like people who are drinking this beer,
Sure.
and then they're like Adolf, and then you joke about that. And then I went to a mic literally a week later, and Noah Reynolds in the Denver scene, very funny guy.
Yeah.
He gets up on stage and he's like, and I I just typed it out on my phone. I never talked about it. He gets up on stage and be like, did you guys know Coors, Adolf Coors? And then I immediately deleted the joke because I was like, and that's parallel thinking.
My worst example of that drove me crazy. It's so frustrating because it's not easy to come up with funny material.
It's not.
I told a joke or I didn't tell a joke. I never told it. I wrote a joke. Let me back up. I went car camping and then went to like a community bathroom kind of thing. Brush my teeth, clean up in the morning, and there were no paper towels to dry my toothbrush off with. There were just those stupid Dyson things.
Yeah.
And an air blade, and I thought like, a blade, like why would you want to put your hand in something called a blade? And I was like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
I went and sat down. It's like 6:30 in the morning.
And you're like, this is genius.
I wrote out like 2 pages longhand. Loved it. And the night before, I had watched The Comedian.
Yeah.
With Seinfeld and Orny Adams, but I'd never heard of Orny Adams. And I often do this, like I have a Google Play Music subscription. I downloaded all of his albums.
Yeah.
And that day, I'm doing stuff and I'm listening to his albums. And at one point, he goes into the bathroom at a fancy French restaurant and can't find any paper towels. And I like kind of stop what I'm doing and listen a little more closely.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if he mentions a Dyson Airblade, I'm gonna freak out. And sure enough, he does like my exact material, and he'd done it like 3-5 years earlier.
Before, yeah.
I was so pissed. Oh
But
my goodness.
But also, that has to make you feel good a little bit though.
A little bit, but it also like the thing that it was scary to me.
Yeah.
I can come up with good material, and now when I come up with really good material, my first thought is, who else has already come up with this?
Yeah.
Like, is this unique enough that nobody else has come up with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That sucks. That's a terrible, that's a like terrible feeling to be at like a pro show or even an amateur show with really good amateurs, and somebody like starts to tell, like I have a bit about bachelorette parties, and I was at a show and a guy started to do jokes about bachelorette parties, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Please don't like step on my material because then I can't tell it again.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like veered away from it. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like,
and sometimes if it's different enough, you can, like if he talks about bachelorette parties and goes one way, you can get up and it almost makes it seem like you came up with that material just now, or like reminds you of it.
Yeah, I love that.
Where you're like, oh, and so-and-so was talking about bachelorette parties, and then you kind of go that way.
Yep.
So sometimes I help. I had a joke, or not even a joke. I've always had this idea of like interracial couples.
Okay.
Like you've seen, black and white, you've seen black and Hispanic, white and Hispanic, white and Asian. Like you've seen everything, but most of the time you rarely ever see a Hispanic and an Asian person married, or at least in my experience, which is what our jokes are, is our own experiences.
Sure.
And so I was like, I've never seen an Asian and a Hispanic person like dating, married, have kids or anything.
Okay.
Dave Chapelle comes out with his Netflix special, and he has a joke where he's like, one time I was at a show and there was an Asian woman in the front and she was with her husband, and his wife is Asian, and he's like, ma'am, and he asks her a question and she gets offended or whatever, and then he's like, what's your race? And she's like, I'm Chinese. And then he asks the husband, and the husband goes, I'm Mexican, bro. And Dave Chapelle laughs, and he's like, that's gonna be the hardest working baby in showbiz, or that's gonna be the hardest working baby ever. And in my head, I had made the connection that I had never seen those two races together. But then he says, you don't really see the races together, but also stereotype about their work ethic and whatever. And so
just took it to a new level.
Yeah, which is what professionals do. So it hurt me because I was like, damn, I could never tell that joke in my own subconscious.
Right.
Because I know Prince has done it, but also, like, it made me feel good. I was like, hey, I've thought about that, but not to that extent. So.
Right. All right, let's do a brief advertisement, huh?
Dope.
How about have you heard about this book?
I have not heard about this book, but I've heard
Okay.
good things about it.
Okay,
Does
you've
that
not
make
read
sense? I have not read it
Okay,
yet.
but you've heard of it. So the
Yes.
book is called, let's hold it up, Not Good Yet. What's the subtitle? I forget.
Lessons from the first 6 months and 100 comedy performance of a Denver open mic comedian. Is that
Exactly.
the same shirt?
No,
No, it's a
slightly
different shirt.
different.
It's a red shirt though.
Red shirt.
Both
yeah.
look good on you.
Yeah, no. Thank you. So anyways, a lot of the stories I told today, the Orny Adams
Yeah.
story is in a chapter called Young Comics Steal Jokes. The Andrew Schultz story, New York City, also in there. If you're a newer comedian, check it out. It's on, you can get it on Kindle, you can get it on Amazon, you can get it tattered cover, Mutiny Information Cafe, etc. All right, enough.
What if some of these people can't read? Is there an audio version?
Great question. I wish we had planned this. Yes, there absolutely is an audiobook. You can actually email me if you're a starving comedian, and I will send you a free copy of the audiobook. But if you want to help me out, you can buy it. It's on Google Play, it's on iTunes, and it's now on Audible as of last week.
Great quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
it's
I don't
pretty
really,
cool.
I don't really like reading. I like listening while I do stuff. So I would love that. Sweet.
Yeah. Okay. You can just drop it in the back. Let's talk about this mic and what you want to get out of today's mic. This is something I try and do, is like set some
Yes.
goals
Yes.
for an open mic. So I really, unfortunately, I haven't thought about this particular mic really at all. So I'm gonna kind of come up with some stuff on the fly.
Yep.
But like,
Absolutely.
what do you? And maybe we'll get a chance to talk on the way back, see how things went. What are some things you want to get out of tonight's mic, and maybe what's some material you're gonna work on that we can recap later.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about the material yet. This is by far one of my favorite mics, and I think a lot of comedians who perform in Denver and Fort Collins can see the differences in the crowds.
Yeah.
'Cause
There's
I mean,
a big civilian, which is like a non-comedian audience size. There's probably going to be 20, 25, maybe as many as 35, just fans of comedy
yes,
there.
who show up sometimes every week, sometimes it's their first time, sometimes they come, when they can.
Yeah.
And all the comedians, very supportive in terms of supporting comedy, but also very supportive is like they're gonna listen to your jokes and they're gonna laugh if it's funny. I feel like
Right.
Denver comedy is more competitive, because
Yeah.
you're immersed in the scene, so maybe you gotta focus on your whatever. But so I'm going to this mic just to feel a good crowd again. Like you, I haven't done stand up in a few days, and
Okay.
I kind of get anxious and like tightened up, and like I gotta get out. So I may go up here and talk shit to the crowd for 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
There's like some material I heard. I thought this was funny the other day. I named my dick Nelson Mandela because it's a humanitarian, and
Okay.
so I
You're
thought it was
spreading the
hilarious.
good
Yeah,
around
like
the
I
world.
thought it was funny, so I might do that.
Okay.
I'm trying to come up with this bit about my grandfather who has like a lot of funny sayings, but I'm not sure how I'm structuring it yet. So I may throw this up there tonight, but like we were all hanging out and everyone in our family was kind of saying like what time they wake up. And so my mom was like, yeah, I wake up at 6:30. My mom was like, yeah, I naturally wake up at like 8 or 9 and then cook breakfast. And so everyone looks at my grandfather and goes, hey Gramps, what time do you wake up? He's like, I wake up when I'm done sleeping, and then just continues to watch TV. like even though he's an old person, like it seems like a simple answer, but it's like, yeah, like that makes sense. So
Yeah.
that's just something that's I thought about that today, and I threw it in my phone, and so
Nice.
this will all be as I'm getting up on stage or something I want to talk about. I may do it, but this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, open mic to go to. So
Yeah,
It's
so
not
I
good anyway.
agree with that, and I feel like there's a little added pressure. I feel a little under the gun that I haven't written out a set list yet, but I will. We're gonna get there hopefully with 45 minutes or
Yeah.
so to spare. But this is like a very good opportunity for stage time to do jokes. I want to make sure that I don't do any jokes or very few jokes that I've done in the past up here, just in case there's audience overlap. And you say,
trust me,
yeah.
I've been away from Fort Collins, like the scene, I guess,
Yeah.
for I don't know 6 months now. And the last time I was up here, I saw people still doing. The
Oh
same
yeah,
jokes.
people do that all the time, and I do it in Denver
Yeah.
all the time. If I have a new joke, like I tend to like go on this like week-long long cycle where I'll start a joke and I'll refine it. But when I'm driving 70 miles to a mic with a big crowd, like I want to do stuff. I'm actually tonight. I'll probably do some new material from my Canada trip.
Yeah.
That I just made some notes on some jokes, some things that I think might be funny. So I'll try some new material there, which I know I've never told there before. But I just don't want to like I have like a 4-minute bit about this. It's like a storytelling thing about this guy, Gary Roy, and I did that last time I was here, so I'm not going to do that at all.
Gotcha.
So we'll see. Something else, I try and usually pick a like non-joke goal for the mic. It could be something like leave the mic in a stand, or be mobile on stage, or be happy on stage, or make eye contact with a crowd member, or do some crowd. I have a whole list of things that I've done. So tonight I'm going. Actually, why don't you challenge me with something to do on stage tonight?
Let's see. You know what's really crazy? How Sam Talent holds the mic.
Oh yeah, and he even has a joke about it. Yeah. Okay.
That's weird. I was just thinking.
I'm a mic out person. Are you mic in or mic out?
I'm a mic out person.
Okay. I like that challenge because it's different.
Oh yeah, so you're gonna go mic in?
If that's what you're saying. If you want me to.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's not the. That's.
Okay.
I mean, it's a challenge if you want to be a challenge, but that's not.
You choose.
Let's see. What's
No, we'll report back after the mic.
Yeah. Let's try. Ooh. This is tough.
Okay.
This is
Put you on the spot.
Yeah. You have one for me?
Yes.
What's for me?
Your challenge is to reference a prior comedian's material from the same night.
From the same night?
That's a pretty hard one. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if without too much difficulty,
I'll connect the segue somehow.
Yeah.
Huh, that's a good one. Jeez.
That's a hard one. I'd say that on a scale, on a spectrum, that's more over into the challenging, expert level.
So if you're a new comedian watching this, what if I said don't do any, like, your opening joke can be something you know is funny, and then don't do any new material, and also don't write anything down. How about that? That's a challenge.
That is a serious challenge. I'll do it. All right, I'm gonna do it only because of advice that Gary Goldman once gave me, which was to do something that makes you afraid.
Yeah.
And that makes me afraid.
Absolutely.
So I think I should do it. I'll just get up there and I'll talk and.
Yeah. So your first joke. This is a tip that I learned. Your first joke should. If you're trying out new material, always try out your first joke that you know is funny.
Okay.
So that you get them going.
Yep.
Because it's like trying to start a car that's been sitting for a while. So
okay.
You get them going, and then just do nothing but new material and don't write your set list down.
Okay.
And so if you remember what you want to do, go there. But if something pops into your head and you're like, oh, I'm gonna try this joke I first did. You want to do one of your jokes you first?
From home.
Yeah. Or I'm not
200 mics ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Throw it in there.
All right. We'll see how that goes.
That's fun.
That's fun for you. You can watch me squirm on stage.
Yeah, we've all. Trust me, I've bombed plenty of times.
Let's talk about more like stuff for people to watch and consume. You watching anything good on TV?
Comedy or comedy
anything,
related?
anything, or movies or.
Yeah, I just saw Midsummer, the movie.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it.
Don't go see it.
Okay, it's in the theaters.
Yes.
Okay. Is it about Midsummer's Night's Dream or whatever, the Shakespeare play?
I'm not sure. Possibly. I don't know what the Shakespeare play is about. But it's about a Swedish group of people.
Okay.
And they have a ritual that they do every year.
Oh, is it like the longest day of the year or whatever?
Yeah. And then they like do a ritual, and there's some Americans, and they have a Swedish friend that they went to school with.
Okay.
And then they all go and visit and kind of experience the rituals, and that's as much as I can say.
Okay.
But I don't smoke weed.
Okay.
I every once in a while I have a beer or whatever. But I left that movie feeling like I was high and drunk. And so if you do go see the movie because you're
Is it at like an
curious-
art house kind of thing, or is it like a big budget?
No, it's a big budget. It's like I
Okay.
saw it like opening night. It's like a
Okay.
regular movie, and whoever the director is, he always makes like it's not a horror movie, but it's like a thriller suspense.
Okay.
But nothing ever pops out at you,
Okay.
but it makes you feel weird.
Midsummer. I have been to Sweden in the summer. I can speak about that, and it's amazing how long it's laid out. Like you wake up 5 in the morning, it's as sunny as it is right now.
They show that in the movie.
You go to bed 10 o'clock at night,
And
it's still sunny
yeah.
out. It's awesome. It is so cool. But it makes you realize how much it must suck in the winter. You know, when the opposite is true.
yeah.
There's
When
only
it's like-
sun like from 11 to 1.
It's
11
like
a.m.
20
to 1
hours
p.m.
of night.
Ugh, so brutal and cold.
Yeah, so I saw Midsummer.
Okay. Mixed reviews on Midsummer.
Yeah, people really enjoy the director, but I
Okay.
didn't. That movie,
Can you look up who the director is
yeah.
while we're here? I'll
what
kill
else have
some
I
time
seen?
by saying I've been watching this show on Netflix called 3%. Have you heard of it? Total, very obscure. I found it on, I want to say her name is Michelle Bloom. She has a comedian's podcast, and I listen to it, and every episode she would recommend something to watch on Netflix or whatever, some distribution platform, and she recommended 3%, and she had this specific, it's in Portuguese, it's a Brazilian show, and so she said to keep it in Portuguese, but turn on the American subtitles, so the English subtitles, which I've been doing. It's a little bit difficult because you can't like multitask really.
Yeah.
You kind of have to watch the screen the whole time, but it's very good if you're into like dystopian stuff. It's like Orwellian, and it's about the 3%. This doesn't really spoil anything. There's a society structure in some ambiguous future where 97% of people are poor and kind of depraved, and then there's a lucky 3% that when you turn 20 years old, you go through this, they call it the process, and 3% of people are selected, and they get to go offshore to this like amazing island where they're rich and have all kinds of stuff.
Orgies and
Yes.
that's my first rich thought.
Orgies? All right.
Like when someone's rich, orgies.
How old
and
are you, Eeland?
Good food. 24.
24. Okay. All right. Where are you from? Are you from Colorado originally?
Yep, born and raised in Denver.
All right. Native.
I tell women I was born in Chicago, but that's not true. So
For the street cred or
yeah,
what? Okay.
absolutely.
Have you been out of Colorado to do comedy?
Yeah, I performed in Nashville, North Carolina, Idaho, and Reno.
Nice.
Yeah, and so
What was your favorite?
North Carolina was cool. Nashville was the best because they're bred to enjoy live entertainment.
Okay.
Because Nashville is a music city,
Mhm.
and so when you go to shows, people respect the artists, people respect what's happening, so they're focused. And as long as I have a focused crowd, a crowd that's paying attention, then I'm gonna have fun whether I fall or not, you know.
Okay.
So and that Nashville was fun because it was a great show, but also like the crowd was paying attention and very engaged and
Yep.
like not laughing. I mean, there were drunk people, of course, but they weren't like
Do you
disrupting
remember
the show.
the venue you were at?
No, it was.
Okay.
I reached out to David Rodriguez. He knows so
Oh,
many
yeah.
people, and I was just like, you know anybody who put on a show in Nashville? And I was there for my cousin's, my cousin's son's, so my little cousin, his birthday party.
Okay.
And so I flew in like the day, and then the birthday party was during the day, and then so at night popped into a show.
I think
Felt
that's
like
one of
a
the
kid,
greatest things
and then left.
about
Yeah.
being in comedy.
Yeah.
Is going, like when I was in Toronto, I took a night off and went and did a show
Yeah.
at a little, I mean, it was not anything to brag about. There
Yeah.
were like 10 people in a coffee shop, and like 6 of us were comedians.
Yeah.
But it was still fun to do live comedy, and boy, what a surprise to realize what jokes don't travel.
Yes.
Like, that was the first time I'd been out of the country.
Yeah.
Which is a little different, but you know, like I had a joke I started to tell that involved the NFL, and I was like, you guys aren't gonna get this one, and that got a bigger laugh than the joke
Than the
probably
actual
would have.
joke, yeah.
Yeah.
And which is, I mean, it's, and that's,
And the jokes they were telling, like they loved talking about Justin Trudeau, which I vaguely realize is their prime minister,
Right.
like their president,
which
but
is just,
not
which is
really.
just people talking about the president.
Yeah.
Like it's, and that's why by the way, the director is Ari Aster. He
Okay,
did Hereditary.
never heard. Okay.
Yeah, he's a weird dude. And
Ari
I would
Aster.
never, yeah, don't meet Ari Aster. I mean, if you do, put me in your movie, Ari.
Yes.
And that's the thing I genuinely love about comedy is because, not to get all metaphysical or deep or whatever, but like everyone has their own different experience, but at a core, like we all share very similar ideas about stuff, or stuff that we've all kind of either thought or never talked about, or I mean, going to another country and hearing someone talk about their prime minister or their president is just like someone from another country coming here and people roasting Trump or talking
Right.
about Trump, or talking about young kids. Like they have young kids in other countries. Maybe they do similar things, or maybe they don't do anything at all. But like having those experiences with like people, yeah, when a joke works out of state,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, okay.
There was a comedian there who told he had a great bit about having a flip phone, like when everybody else had smartphones.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil it at all, but it was so funny. And then when it got to the end, and he sent a dick pic with his flip phone, and it was like super pixelated. It's just so,
Yeah.
it was universal. It
Yeah.
was so funny, and it was really well done. So I don't remember your name, random comedian who was apparently a staple of the Toronto comedy scene.
Oh, you gotta remember
But
the staple.
he was very funny.
Yeah.
Very, very funny.
Yeah. In North Carolina, it was good to like, cause I was at the North Carolina Comedy Festival,
Okay.
and just seeing all the other comics and like seeing how their joke reminds me of another joke, you know, someone I heard in Denver.
Yeah.
Or
Sure.
like.
Do you ever
some
notice
parallels.
people's like cadence or their voice, and you can't quite place it for a while? And you're like, oh, that's Noah Reynolds, you know, but in like
Oh, in
somewhere
like
else,
another, yep.
like just their like,
Yep.
you know, like
Or the
whatever
way
their
they look,
shtick
or
is.
their-
Yeah,
their, like,
exactly. And you
smile.
like can't quite place it for a while.
You're like,
And you're like, oh, it's Grayson Knight. Oh my gosh, that's
Yep.
totally.
Yeah.
I love that.
And
it's
I can,
so funny.
you can kind of tell who, like people tell me this all the time, and I think of it as a compliment. Some people might, you know, however you look at your mentors, but David Rodriguez is my like comedy mentor.
Okay.
And people tell me all the time that my style, my tone, like the way I set up jokes kind of is very reminiscent of David Rodriguez.
Huh. That's a high compliment.
Yeah, and which is crazy because I met him once and I did the Colorado Room, and then I'd never seen him perform before the Colorado Room. And I feel like when I'm on stage, I'm afraid and like hyper on the inside, but I'm also very relaxed. Like my stage presence is relaxed. I really don't yell that much. I really don't have like a loud voice. That's why I have to put the mic so close to my mouth.
Okay.
Because like I'm not monotone, but like I don't have a loud voice.
Yeah.
And so I never thought myself as David, but I get it all the time that like,
Yeah, he's kind of soft spoken.
and not in a way that I'm like copying him, but just like my style. And I think you could tell a lot about what comedian inspired what comedian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
For sure.
Because Dave Chapelle is my inspiration, and even though he laughs on stage, I think it's funny, but he's like very relaxed. He usually doesn't yell unless it's like a big punch or
Right.
stuff like that. And Greer Barnes is another one of my favorite comics, and
Okay.
he's very not monotone, but just like even keeled. And sometimes his voice will go up, but most of the time he's just like relaxed on stage. So I don't know how we got to that point.
No, I don't know either.
But-
we were talking about TV.
Oh, sweet.
What kind of TV?
Yeah, I don't
anything
really
else
watch.
you're watching?
I don't really watch TV.
Okay.
When I was in college and I was dating mostly white women, I watched The Office a lot.
Okay.
I stopped doing
That's
that.
an obligation. more than a
to get the references. Still,
Sure.
great show and I love
Yeah.
it, but I think it's a little overhyped.
Have you watched the British version? Do you know that
I watched like the first season of the
okay.
British version, and I thought it was equally, if not more, hilarious.
Yeah.
Because then you see.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard. That
Yeah,
it's
you see the
terrific.
parallels of the characters and stuff like that. So, I have a notification on my phone that says Hodi's Half Notes starts in 45 minutes.
Okay. All right.
I have it ever since I moved away from Fort Collins. I have it just to like remind myself
Nice.
to either work on a joke or think about comedy.
Nice.
What's your writing style?
That's a great question. I'm a typer.
Okay.
My most comfortable is typing. I probably what I tend to do is I have my phone with me all the time,
Okay.
and I have Evernote. And when I think of something funny,
Boom.
I'll just write down like as many words as I can so that I can remember it
the
later.
punchline.
Yeah, something silly like I have. A lot of times it's just like in Toronto, I was at breakfast and this table sat next to me outdoors on a patio, and the guy sitting next to me pulled a kiwi out of his bag, you know what a kiwi is?
Yeah.
And started eating it without peeling it. And I don't know, is that how you eat a kiwi?
I've never seen.
I've never seen anything like that. I don't know if that's a Canadian thing or what. He was just going in. So all I wrote on my phone was like a savage eating a kiwi, peel and all. And I don't know where I'll ever use that as a joke. Like the story isn't really funny, but just that idea is funny to me. Like somebody biting into a kiwi.
Well, especially a Canadian, because they're supposed to be nice people. And then you have a monster who's just going to come in and just eat a kiwi.
They sneak drinks and juice out of his bag. It's so funny. So I'll write down silly stuff like that, and usually like build up like a couple days or a week, 10 days of stuff, and I'll try and carve out some quiet time at a computer, and I'll go through all the little ideas and try and turn it into like paragraphs, you know, like a few sentences. Like, and the other thing is like in my notes, I also have like to-dos and other random things.
Oh, absolutely.
In there, like books that people recommended, or so like I gotta kind of like call out the stuff that is meant to be material.
Yeah.
Put that into a Google Doc, then try and make some jokes. Then I bring them on stage and work on them, and realize like half the stuff I thought was going to be funny is not funny to other people, or I'm delivering it poorly, one of the two. And then, you know, go back, and it's just like a big circle.
Yeah.
And it's like a funnel. It's like a sales funnel.
Yep.
There's a lot up at the top that isn't very good, and it distills down into a little bit that is good. I will say that I read a book about joke writing, and it had this idea that is not that unique about writing word maps. Like, so just like drawing, you know, you draw a word, and then you associate a bunch of other words, like Trump, and it's like orange, fat, you know, depending on what, you know, hero or gross or whatever, and you do that, and then you go off each of those words to get those like second level associations.
That's actually really smart.
And then you try and like make jokes that are like 2 or 3 levels away. And this is something that's really surprised me in joke writing, is that I tend to write jokes that are excuse me, too obvious. Like, I've learned over time that the obvious jokes,
They can see the punchline?
not necessarily that, but there's just nothing clever about it.
Okay, well,
Or it's just
like saying...
it's just
like
not
saying
it's not clever enough.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about like mixing up, it's almost like hypnotism, where like somebody's brain, you make it like crossfire because you say something they weren't expecting to hear, but it actually makes a little bit of sense, and that is funny. Like, that can spark somebody to laugh reflexively without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And people will make those associations so quickly. Like, a lot of times I'm afraid to jump 2 or 3 levels away because I think the audience won't get it, and they will. If it's relatable material, it can be very funny. So yeah, that's how I write. How about you?
I kind of had a joke like that. Hold on. I kind of had a joke like that where I talk about breaking up with my girlfriend, and which I'm single, by the way, ladies. and I say reasons why I broke up with my girlfriend. I say the first reason, and then I go on for like 2 or 3 minutes about stuff that has nothing to do. Like, it just goes like kind of like tangent.
Okay.
And then I'm like, the second reason I broke up with my girlfriend, and people are like, "Oh, we forgot that you broke up with your girlfriend because you're talking about puppy rapist or whatever,"
right.
You know. But my joke writing is very, I would say, kind of similar. I really have a tough time sitting down and being still.
Okay.
And so sitting down and writing jokes, like, then I start. People always, Elliott Woolsey and people who give notes at Comedy Works
Yep.
always tell me I'm a great storyteller, but I need to like trim some fat. Like I there should be more laughs per minute or whatever.
Yep.
And so when I sit down and write, that's what tends to happen is I'll provide details that maybe aren't funny or it doesn't work or doesn't have anything to do with that. And so most of the time I'll do what you do. Like I'll get an idea of something and I throw it up in my phone and this joke, and like I have sticky notes.
Okay.
So in one sticky note, I have like typed out sticky notes. I have all my jokes.
Typed out sticky notes. Oh, you mean like on a computer?
Yeah,
or whatever.
like on my phone,
Yeah,
I have it synced to my
Okay.
computer. And so in like one sticky note, I'll have every comedy idea or most comedy ideas I have, I'll put in my sticky note. And then if I'm going like tonight, as we're going to Hodi's, I would type in Hodi's half note and the date, and then I would write a set list.
Okay.
And in that set list, I would start typing out the joke really quickly, and just like stuff I want to talk about or stuff I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Not the whole joke, but just stuff
Sure.
that I can riff on. And then I'll take that and anything that doesn't work over a multitude of nights. If I keep trying a joke and it doesn't work, that gets put in another folder that I put for save for later.
Okay.
And then anything that works, it goes, and like I'll circle it, and that goes in the refined jokes. And then those are jokes that I'm always gonna be able to do or I know about. And so my goal with the save later jokes is that I've seen comedians hear about something the day of and talk about it for 25 minutes and do really well.
Right.
And so at my level right now, I can't joke about very serious topics, or I mean I can, but I don't have that ability to make it something offensive also very funny.
On the fly.
Yes.
At least. Yeah.
And so I'm
Do you
saving
think
all
those
that
comedians
material.
are coming up with all that material on the fly, or do you think they had like
kind
an
of like
old bit
yeah, kind of like
that they recycled?
Yeah,
and
kind of like you said with the crowd
yeah.
work, is like there probably was some truth to that, but then I think some of it is just like their natural ability. I mean, they've been doing stand-up for 20 years, 30
Right.
years, 10 years. Like your natural ability to just like know what's funny about a situation or know what a crowd's gonna laugh at.
Yeah.
Because I think with a lot of more amateur comics, you hear this phrase a lot. I don't know why you think that's funny, or like I didn't expect you to laugh, or stuff like that. And genuinely, I've never heard someone who's on that pro list at Comedy Works say that.
Right.
I've never heard them say, "You guys laughing or are laughing in weird places," or they say it's a weird crowd, but they've never like.
Do you mean anywhere, or do you mean when they're on stage at Comedy Works?
Like when they're on stage.
Yeah.
Like when the
Yeah.
crowd
I mean,
laughs
they're
at
doing
something.
their material that they know is bulletproof.
Yeah, and like if
Sometimes you hear the opposite. They're like, well, often crowds will laugh at that a little bit more
Yeah.
than you just did.
yeah, and then that's also funny. So my joke writing is sporadic, and I try to think I'm good on stage, and I'll joke about something and it comes out gold, but that's not what happens. Most of the time I joke about something and I'll say one line or one phrase, and then of course I record every single one of my sets, whether it's an open mic, if it's 25 minutes of comedy, if it's 1 minute of comedy, I'll record it and then I immediately listen back to it, and because whatever I remember what's fresh, I type it in my phone and that becomes part of the joke, or a connection between another joke.
Nice.
So what we do is art.
Yeah, it is. It's fun, that's for sure. I'm excited about
it's
tonight.
taxing emotionally.
It is. It sucks. Can you tell a good bombing story? I guess I should ask. Have you ever bombed?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes. There's a maybe it's either Conan or someone else. Look it up on YouTube. It's like comedians who bomb, and it's like all these legendary comedians who sold out theaters, who have Netflix specials, whatever, or rich, or whatever you think the merit for a good comedian is. But all these comedians who are like legends, and they talk about bombing.
Yeah.
I'm like, one day, hopefully, I'm gonna be on that, sharing a whole bunch of bombing stories. Yeah, I've gotten paid, and I've gotten paid to do a show where there was one person, and that one person was the bartender. One time I went up, I was performing with Deacon Gray, rest in peace.
Oh, wow.
I was performing with Deacon Gray in Fort Collins, and it was like a movie theater,
Okay.
but there was a comedy show, and for
That's crazy. You must have had a very narrow window to perform with him.
Yeah, it was like in,
Like fall last year?
yeah, I want to say like September, October.
Okay. So you were like 6
Right
months
before,
in.
yeah, right before he had gotten sick.
Okay.
And I was super nervous because everyone was telling me, "Oh, Deacon Gray runs Comedy Works. Like he's know he gives out notes, and I hadn't performed at Comedy Works yet.
Okay.
I think I performed like 2 weeks later on New Talent Night and finally introduced myself. But I was nervous. I was like, well, shit, if I do well, he'll be like, this guy's funny. I would love to see you again. And if I bomb, he's gonna be like, why is he coming to Comedy Works?
Right.
So I was all in my head, and I get up on stage, and
What was the crowd like?
it was an older crowd.
Okay.
Which I really don't ever blame the crowd.
Sure.
Because if you're a comedian, you should at
It's your
least be
job.
able to establish credibility and like try jokes. Like sometimes crowds are shit, but like for the most part you should be able to like tough it out.
Yeah.
Say at least one joke that's funny in the crowd and there. But so older crowd, but they were still laughing, and Noah Reynolds was on the show and he did well. So I go up, and for some reason I just start speaking in Spanish. Here's the thing, I don't speak Spanish very well. I speak Spanish like just enough to survive if I got dropped off in a Spanish-speaking country. So I
Okay.
started speaking Spanish, like hola, and like stuff my teacher taught me. No rhyme or reason for like maybe 10 to 15 seconds, and it was like, I'm so sorry, I don't know why I started speaking Spanish. I thought that would be funny.
Okay.
Not a single, not a cough, not a cricket, like not a single anything. And I was like, okay. And I tried to go into my material, and it just
Yeah, once you
everything
lose
was
them,
just
it's like
flat. And then I remember David booked me on the
muy
show.
malo.
I
Muy
remember,
malo.
yeah, you want to get off here at this
Okay.
exit.
Thanks.
I remember after the show, I was like, David, I am so sorry. I am
Did
so
you get paid
sorry.
for that?
Yeah, but I don't think. No, I definitely took the money. I've always taken the money, but I don't think I felt good about it.
Sure.
But I did
Great
get paid for
story.
it, and sweet theater, and like the show is still happened, but
Sure.
it was just one of those moments of I got out of just being in the moment, and that's why I think comedy competitions are kind of bullshit. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Are you part of New Faces, by the way?
Yeah.
You coming up? Or
yeah,
have you, okay.
August 14th.
Nice. Okay.
And so like I understand that there's
Go check them out.
competitions.
Comedy Works.
Please do.
August
It's gonna-
14th.
It's great. All the other comedians are great. Like
Do you
I'm
want
on a hell
to
of a
pitch
night.
some free tickets? How can they get? Do you want to do that or?
Yeah, I don't want to do that though.
Oh, you don't?
No.
You just can I?
Yeah.
Okay. So he gets 20. He gets 20 free tickets.
gang.
Call up Comedy Works. He's not allowed to do it for you. Call up Comedy Works. Tell him you want to go to the August 14th show and you want to be on Eeland Stribling's guest list. You want a free
Oh.
ticket, and just make sure you show up half an hour before showtime. And when you show up to the thing, just say, "Hey, I'm on the guest list. Here's my name." You'll be there, and that actually helps Eeland out. You get like some weird bonus points for bringing
really?
people to the show. So
Well, I emailed my family and like group text my family.
yeah.
And so far 87 people have RSVP'd
What?
for August 14th.
Holy cow! All right, the free tickets are going to be gone.
I
But after
didn't
20,
know about the free
well,
tickets.
hurry
so
up, tell your family before we
maybe-
push this out. And after the 20, you get half off.
Okay.
So you get half price. Or maybe look at the list of the comedians. Find a comedian that you don't think has 87 amazing family members,
Yeah, it's
and
gonna
just
be-
use their name.
It's gonna be
Just go
insane.
down the list.
And it's gonna be like
Is Stroop on
mostly
the list?
black people. No, he
Oh.
moved. He moved nights.
Okay.
He-
He's moved multiple times
Yeah,
already. Okay.
you know, he should be on the
Yeah.
control list. Him
Yeah.
and Janae.
Yeah.
Janae's in the competition, and she's going to Montreal.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap up because we're in Fort Collins now. I do have one last question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you could go back and talk to young Eeland Stribling right before he started comedy, what is this, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
What
Damn,
advice would you give him?
That's a hell of a question. I would look, young Eeland. First of all, I know that Natalia just broke your heart. Don't worry about it, bro. You're not gonna ever talk to her again. There's better women coming, trust me. Eeland, enjoy it. Like, don't be so nervous to talk to people. I'm a kind of an introverted person, so I'm kind of reserved, and I think that hasn't really held me back. But also, I think it would be helpful to have more comedian friends. You know,
Okay.
have more people
Sure.
to shoot the shit with. So,
Yeah.
and just don't. I mean, plan for the future, but don't anticipate on the future. Just have fun with it, and you're gonna come up with some pretty good jokes. Also, some horrible jokes, but you're gonna get better jokes from those horrible jokes. So
Any joke that involves Spanish speaking.
Yes.
Try it out at an open mic first.
Please forget all your Spanish and just don't get nervous and start speaking Spanish for no reason. Yeah, that's a great question. What would you give your advice, real quick?
Oh shoot, put me on the spot. Well, I would go in all the way back to what we talked about earlier. I'd say make it shorter and choose topics that you know everybody knows about. So don't do obscure topics and don't be so wordy.
That's a hell of a question.
Yeah. All right, well that's it. We'll be back with some bonus material, hopefully, if there's battery in the camera on the way back. And
thank you guys for watching.
Until next time. Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
Check out
it. See you
Eeland. Do you
guys.
want to pitch anything? You got a Twitter or a website, anything like that?
Don't have a Twitter. My Instagram is Black Steve Irwin.
Okay.
There's no underscores. It's just the original Black Steve Irwin. That's my Instagram. I fly fish, so if you fly fish wherever you're at, hit me up. We can hit the water.
Nice.
And go enjoy live comedy and live entertainment. It means a lot. And if you're a comic, good luck. Like, I want to see you
Keep
succeed
grinding.
and do well.
Yeah.
I never want to see anyone do badly, unless you steal my fucking joke. Then fuck yourself.
All right.
All right. See you guys.
Bye bye. So hey everybody, we did it. We finished up at Hodi's and we're ready to break down what happened, I guess.
Yep.
We're not sure about the lighting. It might be kind of dark. Apologies. This will probably be on audio as well. Did you get that going?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There we go.
All right. So let's talk about the goals and what we wanted to do. So I'll start. Do you want to remind everybody what my challenge was?
Yes. Mark Masters' challenge for Hodi's this week was to not write any notes, not make a set list, just to go up there with the material that he's written and that's in his head and perform it and not reference back to notes or see what he's gonna do next. And I don't know,
Yeah, and so
did you have a plan before you went up though?
I was kind of nervous, and I had an idea. I wanted to do mostly new jokes.
Okay.
Oh, jeez Louise. We might die. So if this never comes out, I guess you won't know that. But it's apparently a very difficult part. Maybe this is probably illegal to do this. Maybe maybe I should reverse and.
Yes.
All right, we're not gonna die anymore. So anyways, first off, huge challenge. I went up like 6th or 7th, something like that, pretty early
6th,
in the night. And Nate comes up and tells me I'm next about 10 seconds
Before you're next.
before the guy on stage wraps up. So really no prep time, which served me well for not being prepared.
Yeah.
I went up, I was surprised, like I haven't been on stage in 3 nights and almost a week if you only count American stage time, and I was surprised that I was nervous in that like first
Isn't that crazy?
couple seconds. Like I told my oldest joke, my most reliable joke, and I kind of like I haven't listened to the recording yet, but I kind of stepped on my words a little bit, and I got a laugh, but I don't feel like it was as strong as it could have been.
It's pretty insane that you can like not forget your material, but like you get uncomfortable that quickly.
Yeah. But then I was pretty proud. I did kind of sketch out, like I had like 10-ish new jokes I wanted to try. They were all real short, like 20 seconds or so each. And I wanted to do as many of them as I could. And I was really nervous about trying to remember them on the fly. And thanks. I forgot 2 of them, but I ran a little bit long, so it worked out fine. And the jokes, like, they went okay. Honestly, that was the least hot crowd I've seen at Hodi's.
Yeah.
Since I've been up there.
Yeah.
Which, it was still a great open mic crowd. There were like 10 people seated, paying attention to the comedian on stage. One of my jokes just bombed horrifically. It was a pretty stupid joke. What do they call French onion soup in France?
Oh yeah.
Onion soup. That's pretty dumb. That got a good laugh actually.
Yeah.
And then the follow-up is,
that.
what do they call Canadian bacon in Canada? And everybody says bacon, and I say pea meal bacon. And I don't really know what the joke is there. I thought it would be funny. I think it turned into me being smarter than everybody else.
Yeah.
And like, who are you to tell us what they call Canadian bacon in Canada?
Yeah.
So, not a good joke. Not good joke structure. Rookie mistake.
Left it to light.
Thanks, buddy. So I didn't look at I did kind of panic about 3 minutes in. We had 4 minutes because I could not remember my next joke. And I went to the crowd and was like, hey, what do you want me to talk about?
Yeah.
And the guy said math. And I was pretty disappointed in myself that I couldn't remember a single math joke. And I'm sure I have one.
Yeah.
And I'll go home later and I'll just search like Google Drive for the word math. And I probably have like 3 or 4 jokes that relate to math. And I'll be mad at myself for a little bit. But then I got back on track and I did a couple jokes and I feel like I closed kind of strong. I did forget, because I was rushed getting up on stage, I forgot to grab my book, which I wanted to promote. And I did promote it in my set, but I didn't have it to hold up.
Yeah, to show people.
Which kind of worked out because Nate, when he came up,
he said,
like, that book is real, everybody. Because I think some people thought it might be a joke.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's how my set went. And I got to have some delicious barbecue at Moe's Barbecue. We're hoping to get some sponsors.
Mary's Mountain Cookies.
Yeah, by the
you
way,
know I'm there.
Let's break out these cookies.
I'm there every week. This is top shelf in Fort Collins. Mary's Mountain Cookies, my favorite cookie place. Yes, it comes in a bag like drugs, but it's probably equally as addictive. What kind of cookie did you get?
Oatmeal chocolate chip. I can't wait.
I went with M&M.
We're gonna have this. Thank you.
And
sir.
I get nervous before I get up on stage, so I really can't eat, whether it's an open mic or a paid show. But so this is a sweet reward for following my dreams.
This is probably like tip number 1 for YouTube stars: don't eat on camera.
Oh, is it?
I don't know. This probably makes for terrible YouTube. I'm just chewing, mashing on this cookie.
You know what's that? I saw a bunch of Instagram people
so good though.
who
Mary's
only make
cookies.
sketches. It's like hard and soft. Yeah. A bunch of Instagram comedians will like make sketches and then travel the country and do stand-up in comedy clubs. And it's like, I think that's kind of, I don't think that's...
You don't think they count as real comedians?
As stand-up comedians.
Okay. You know, I know we were talking about Just for Laughs earlier. I was reading this press release today, and they have 4 categories now, maybe even 5, of Just for Laugh comedians. One of them is, they're called Just for Laughs creators, or New Faces creators.
Yeah.
And they're just online video, funny.
That they can clip and make edits of.
I mean, there's money there. They're making money. That's what I'm doing right now. What are you knocking this? This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to branch out into the video.
This is like an idea that...
This is long form now.
Yeah. You're not taking something that somebody else said and like making it a funny sketch that gets posted a lot, and now it's not like you're not gonna be a famous actor from this. Like,
I don't know, that director you were talking about earlier, I think he's gonna catch wind of this.
I hope he does.
He's gonna get me in his next weird movie. I hope. All right, so your challenge, Eeland Stribling, was to... By the way, is Eeland a stage name?
Oh, it's my real name.
No way. What kind of name is that?
It means largest African animal.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's wild. In what language?
Oh shit, I don't know. African.
That sounds made up.
No one ever asked me the follow-up question.
That sounds made up.
What are the African ones? South Africa, whatever. Pick your
Swahili.
Pick your favorite African language.
Tongan. I guess Tongan is an African, but probably.
I'll nail this. Elands are in South Africa and Western Africa. There. So we're gonna pick one of your favorite South or West African
South
countries.
Africa is beautiful.
Boom.
All right. Is that what lions eat? Elands?
Yeah, I actually ate eland when I was in South Africa.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was
nice.
Delicious.
I ate rabbit there. Did you go shark cage diving?
No, I don't fuck with the.
That is cool, man.
I'm afraid of.
You talk about big animals.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Oh, that's fun. All right. Anyways, let's get sponsored by that.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to fly us to this thing is still on. Cool. All right. So Eeland's challenge was to reference an earlier comedian's set. So some kind of topic, and use that in his material. And I'm gonna let you explain how you did, but I'm just gonna say one word: cheater. All right,
yes,
go ahead.
I cheated a little bit. And here's 2 reasons why. One, there's a genuine Canada joke. He's got back from Canada.
Tell him what you did. Let me tell you what he did.
There's a-
So he knew that I was going to do material about Canada, and then I ended up going right before him. And so he basically used my Canada stuff as his reference to a previous comedian. So, all right, go ahead.
That's true. But also, your set was the only set I watched. So I was back there talking with, other Fort Collins comics.
That's fair. That's
So I wasn't
fair.
paying attention.
Nate didn't give us a very long heads up.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
he told me as I was walking up talking to David Appleton. He told me as I was walking past him. He said, "Hey, you're up next," and I was like,
Did you know for sure that I did Canada material?
I heard it at the very beginning,
Okay, all right.
and then so that's
Okay.
is that fair? That's you're the only
Okay, yeah,
comedian
I
was-
Okay, all right.
But
And it worked.
It makes you feel better. Some of the new jokes I tried, I forgot a tag in one of my jokes, so I'm upset about that. We beat ourselves
Yeah, I felt
up
like
over
I was off
Yeah.
my game. That was not a great. I give that like 3 stars out of 5.
So
for me. I haven't listened to it yet, but
yeah, I have to work on.
I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah. So
I liked your movement on stage. And
Thank
you
you.
joked about it too.
yeah, because
Funny.
I mean, as comics, we're like on stage, we're also watching. Like I'm probably my own. Of course, we're all our own biggest
Critics.
judge and critics, and I analyze myself more than anyone. So like when I started pacing back, and like when I walked all the way back and turned my back to the crowd, my thought was, why did I turn my back to the crowd? We don't have room to do this.
Mhm.
And then I said, I'm walking like I have time to do this. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I got some. We were talking over dinner about 2 interesting topics. One was a show we did in Boulder together, and the other one was a show you did in Idaho where you got stiffed, kind of.
Yes.
Why don't we start with that story, and we'll see where things go.
Just went out to Idaho for non-comedy related things. Reached out to the comedy club there. Shout out to Sophie Hughes. She's awesome.
What club?
The
Liquid Laughs.
Liquid Laughs. Yep. And
Boise, Idaho. Great
She-
club.
great club, great owner, great host. And very, very funny. I'd never seen her stand up before. Very funny.
Nice.
And so while I was there, my name got out that I was there, and another person invited me onto a show. And I'm in another state, so I'm happy to be performing to new people. But at the same time, I'm like, I didn't ask about money. I asked, how much are you charging people to get in?
Okay. Such a power move, by the way. I love it. To go travel for non-comedy reasons and then do comedy. Such a
Yeah, it's-
great move. I love it.
There's comedy clubs really all over the country, and
Yeah.
people trying their best to work on their craft or whatever. So yeah, and then after the show, kind of hanging out with the other comics, and was waiting for any sort of compensation. Was
So they
waiting
charge
for-
$10 a ticket
Yep.
and fill the room.
This first show, first show, well packed crowd, not sold out, but well packed crowd. Few people, like 1 or 2 people standing in the back, with a smaller venue, and I did fairly well, especially for being in a
How
new
much time
state.
did you do? You remember?
15.
15 minutes. All right,
Yeah.
yeah, that's solid.
And was kind of waiting around, and I would take waiting for $5, $10,
Yeah. Just a token gesture of appreciation.
$7 in a grandma's cookie, just
Yeah.
anything, and got nothing. So it just kind of, I was
That's a bummer.
told, that no one's getting paid on the show, and that made me, that means the other comics I was working with, they obviously live in Boise, and they
Right.
have to like make a living, and they're not getting paid, and I'm a guest comic, and I'm not getting paid. But Liquid Laughs, Sophie Hughes took care of me, so that's not Sophie Hughes. She
Okay.
took care of me. It was another not related thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not trashing that person, maybe it was the first show, so maybe they were still figuring out the money situation, but
Yep.
new comics, I'm still working on it, and I'm not even working on it, I just don't know how to do it, how to ask for compensation or monetary value or anything like that, because I love stand-up enough that I'll do it a lot of places for not much, if close to nothing at all. I've done it for nothing in very shitty places, but I still enjoy it. So,
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, my feeling is right now I will do it for nothing. If you're out there, you want to book me on a show, I will come pretty close to nothing. I would appreciate a $5. Just throw me something, but I'm not in it for the money right now. I'm more interested in the stage time, the experience. In that case, you're getting really high quality stage time because one, there's a lot of people in the audience. Two, you're on the road. So like learning how your jokes work in a place like Boise, Idaho is good information.
And it's
great practice. You're meeting other comedians. So I would probably
the owner of a club
be a little more relaxed. I had a similar kind of thing, but it went the other direction. I did a show in Missoula, Montana at a VFW lodge and ended up I was the headliner. They asked me to do 20 minutes. I did my 20 minutes. I never asked about money the whole time. Like I emailed and texted with the booker, never brought up money. There was like not nobody in the bar, but like less than 50, between like 10 and 15 people in the bar, probably a dozen people. Not packed. I hung out after the show, sold some books, and was just goofing around. And some lady came over and paid me $50. And I was like, holy cow, that's really, thank you.
Is she the booker?
It was the bar, it was like
whoever's running the bar.
The bartender gave it to the host who gave it to me.
Nice.
So it was an intended payout for the headliner. I just had never inquired about compensation, and I would have been totally fine. I mean, really, I probably shouldn't say this for the benefit of more experienced comedians.
Yeah.
But I'm at a level where I really just want the stage. What?
I mean, if you get paid for comedy at this level, it's awesome.
It's great. Yeah, it's terrific.
Added bonus.
Yeah, I was totally excited to get the $50. But to put money into perspective, to give you an idea of what money on the road is like, Missoula, Montana is not close to Denver. It's very far away.
Absolutely.
The next morning, I filled up my gas tank, $58. So, whether I get $0 or $50, it doesn't really matter. I'm losing money on these trips.
Yeah.
Until people are coming out to see me.
To see you.
Yeah, I don't really expect to make any money in comedy. Any real money. So I wouldn't, probably if I was in that same situation as you, I probably would have. Did they offer you free drinks or anything like that? No, that's kind of weird. I also got a free drink, $50 and a free drink. So that was a nice surprise.
And I'm not a big drinker anyway.
No.
Yeah,
and it's terrible. You're on the road. You're driving.
Yeah.
Like, what good is a bunch of drinks if you're just driving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but lesson
I did
learned
take the drink.
Yeah.
I don't drink much either, but it was free. I took it.
I'll take like a soda.
After I performed. I never drink before I perform.
Oh, absolutely not. I can't. Drunker.
I mean, some people like to do that, but
no.
I don't. That doesn't help me. I think it only hurts me.
It hurts me normally in life, so.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good, man. You're a young man to have figured out that alcohol can steer you wrong.
Yeah, so.
All right, well, there went all our alcoholic viewers. We've lost them. These cookies.
They're like, this sucks.
These cookies, that's not real comedy. You're supposed to get plastered and tell funny jokes and be loose. No, that's not how we do it. We be wholesome, guys. Get a glass of milk and some, what is it?
Mary's Mountain Cookies.
Mary's Mountain Cookies.
Yes.
On, what's that street in Fort Collins?
College.
On College Avenue.
North College.
North College Avenue.
Say hello to Brooke.
Say hello to Brooke. And get some cookies. We're going to try and get them to be a sponsor. We'll try and we'll make these cookies a regular thing. If you're a Denver comedian and you want to hop in the car, how would you rate this experience, Eeland?
What's the rate out of? What's the
5 stars, 0 to 5 stars.
I can't give you 5 because 5 is kind of kiss ashes.
Okay, that's fair.
3.7.
By the way, so we're dropping Eeland off right here. We're in the middle of we're like 50 miles from Denver. He's getting kicked out. All right, let's hear your 4 stars. Is that what you said? 4?
3.9.
3.9. All right,
And
we're going into decimals.
You can round up.
All right.
Yeah, round up to 4.
3.9. All right, what can I improve on? Let's start with that.
First of all, great questions. Questions are 5 star.
Oh, okay.
Great questions. You know,
You brought some good questions too, I'll say.
if I was to give you, if you were to jump an extra star,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little background music.
Okay, well, that will come in post-production.
Okay. Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Oh, so
yeah.
after post production, 4.9. No, man, I've had fun. I've never done anything like this. And
All right.
this is dope. So
Cool.
yeah, I enjoy it, and I hope you all learned something.
Mhm.
And check out this man. I'm the guest, but this is the fucking he's
whatever.
doing it. So
Whatever. Eeland Stribling, everybody. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.